Good morning, buenos dias. I am Teresa Fernandez, chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, and here we are again. And I'm going to say that again. We are here another year to demand equal pay for equal work. And sadly, women slipped back this year. In 2025, we earned even less on average than men did this past year. And that's why today my Democratic women's colleagues and I are joining with these amazing advocates here and women across the country in every corner of our communities to call for equal pay now. Salario justo ahora. Women deserve to get paid for the work we do. We deserve equal pay so we can put food on the table for our families. We deserve paid time off so we can take care of our loved ones when they are sick. And we deserve strong unions that fight alongside us to make it all possible. And there are success stories that we should celebrate. The basketball stars and players with the Women's National Basketball Association had T-shirts. Many of us in the Democratic Women's Caucus wore, which said, "Pay us what they owe us, pay them what they owe them." And after hard work and union negotiations with the WNBA, the players won revenue sharing and higher salaries, improved paid leave, and better health care coverage. And that's just the start. That's an example of it can be done. And we are not going to give up at the DWCA until we get it done, because that is our job. And we say, pay us what we deserve. It's all we ask. And I need to remind everybody, it took us 144 years to get the vote. And we've been fighting for 29 years to pass the Paycheck Fairness Act. That tells you that women know how to be persistent. We don't give up. But America should be ashamed about these statistics. It shouldn't take us that long to get equal pay for the work that we do. Muchísimas gracias. It's now my pleasure to introduce somebody who has been fighting for the children, for the families, for equal pay, for everybody in every community across this great nation of ours, Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your relentless leadership on this subject and for bringing us together this morning on this subject. As you were speaking so eloquently about the need and the persistence of women to get equal pay for equal work for women across our country, I was thinking that it was in 2003, I was a newly elected leader in the Congress, and I was at we celebrated the 40th anniversary of the Equal Pay Act under the leadership and the presidency of President John F. Kennedy. At that time, it seemed like that was like ancient history, 40 years before. And now it's 23 years later, and we still don't have the equal pay for equal work legislation passed in the Congress. And how could that be? You spelled out very clearly what the difference is. It could cost women like over $1 trillion because of this inequity, that it would take almost 3 months for women to make as much as a man does in the same job. Now, under the leadership of Rosa DeLauro, we passed that Lilly Ledbetter Act. She and George Miller of California, he was chairman of the Committee of Jurisdiction, and he put this, well, he was actually the ranking member. No, he was the chairman. We were in the majority. And we sent this bill, it was the first bill that we sent to President Obama to sign, Lilly Ledbetter. But Lilly Ledbetter was about fairness and being able to know what was being paid in the workshop, but it was not equal pay for equal work. At that same time, Rosa DeLauro had introduced equal pay for equal work. We passed it in the House. That was, 2009. Sent it to the president, to the Senate. They did not pass the bill. That has been the obstacle because of their rules or whatever, but they did not pass the bill. But it hasn't been because we in the House, Democrats, have not persistently introduced and passed this legislation. Rosa, 1 year ago, yesterday, introduced this bill again. I talk about her because I'm going to introduce her, but I also talk about her because of her relentless, persistent determination on this subject. And why? Why? Because women, we talk about the cost of living, and as Congressman, Madam Chair, has said already here, it's even worse now. The disparity is even worse now. So the time is long overdue. President Kennedy, 1963, Equal Pay Act. 63 years later, we're still trying to get that done. We will not rest until it is done, and we will make sure we do not rest until we have equal pay now. Is person I have the honor of introducing, the godmother of all of these things that we talk about: equal pay for equal work, child tax credit. The list goes on and on. Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Really, thank you so much for the very, very kind words. I was saying to Teresa, we started this journey in 1997, for God's sakes here, but we're going to do it, guys. We're going to do it. And I look at that little urchin over there with her sign, and that's where it has to go here. So, and again, thank you so much, Speaker, for your very, very kind words. And my partner, I just will say this, and the Speaker will understand. We did pass it in the House, and unfortunately, when it went to the Senate, we lost by 2 votes. And once again, unfortunate, there were 2 women senators who voted no. So we've got to turn that around. We never forget, never forget. And thank you to George Miller as well, who was so active in this area. All the advocates who are here today, my colleagues, obviously, thank you for standing up and for speaking out and never giving up the fight. And to the advocates, I just say to all of you, we all know that Congress is an institution that really responds to external pressure. You are the external pressure, and never forget that, please. Never forget that. I'm never excited to mark this day, the day when the average woman finally be paid as much as a man for the work that they both did last year. Americans struggle today with the cost of living crisis. Women are feeling it profoundly. Our country is in the midst of an affordability crisis. The wage gap costs women in our economy nearly $1.7 trillion. So this day is not a celebration. It is a call to action. And I'm proud of the incredible group of women who have joined us today. Americans are realizing how unacceptable it is that 62 years after the Equal Pay Act of 1963, the wage gap still exists. And now for the second year in a row, the wage gap widened. Women are paid just 76 cents for every dollar paid to men. Full-time year-round women workers make just 81 cents on the dollar compared to men, which has widened from 83 cents in 2025. This is outrageous. It should anger all of us, especially as Americans struggle to afford groceries, childcare, gas in this cost of living crisis. It's time to eliminate the disparity. We cannot allow the gap to widen further. We lose ground on this crucial issue because of the federal government's failure to act. This is not just a problem for a few years out of a woman's life. It is a lifetime problem. People are living paycheck to paycheck, and the prices of essentials, housing, utilities, rent, groceries, etc., going up. Thanks to the president's decision to launch a war with Iran, gas prices are up nearly $1 nationwide, nearly $4 per gallon. This affects shipping and transportation costs. Everything is about to become more expensive. Middle class, working class, vulnerable families in this country struggle. They struggle every single day to make ends meet, and the pay gap can put women hundreds of thousands of dollars behind in lifetime earnings. It severely affects and it reduces the amount they receive from Social Security. And we know that women live longer than men and they have to rely on Social Security. So they are probably the most economically distressed demographic, is that older women and their economic security is in jeopardy. The pay gap persists because of loopholes in the Equal Pay Act. We have repeatedly introduced the Paycheck Fairness Act to fix the loopholes and to deal with the disparities. But as the speaker pointed out, we continue to introduce it. It puts teeth into the 1963 bill, and we will continue to do that until that we have it. I've introduced it every Congress since 1997. 4 times it passed on this side of the Capitol. 4 times it has died in the Senate. That tells you something about the institution. But we're not going to give up this fight. At the end of the day is a very, very simple premise. Men and women in the same job deserve the same pay. Right. That is what this is all about. Let's get it to, we're not going to get it now, not with this group, but we're going to continue fighting until we take back the House in November, and then we'll just move it and see what we can do. If there's a wave election, we take the Senate back as well, and then we'll show them. So that, listen, I am so very, very proud to welcome one of the greatest champions for equal pay, and that is the Democratic Women's Caucus Vice Chair Hillary Shelton. Hillary, go.
Thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman DeLauro. Hello, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Hillary Skolton, proud to serve as your Democratic Women's Caucus Vice Chair, along with my good friend Amelia Sykes, who was just with us. And so proud to represent Michigan's 3rd Congressional District. I am the first woman and the first mother in history to represent my community in Congress. That means something. It's more than just a tagline. That means something. It means that I carry the stories of women and mothers with me when I ascend the steps of the Capitol behind me to champion legislation like the Paycheck Fairness Act. I know what it means to be paid less for the same work. In my district, the average is even lower, 74 cents on the dollar. We are in the middle of a broader affordability crisis in this country. So while women are being paid less as the #1 economic decision makers in the family, they're also having to make those pennies stretch farther. Women across the country are being asked to show broad fiscal restraint, while the President of the United States and his cabinet are doing the exact opposite. Lavish, extravagant spending, wasteful spending of our hard-earned tax dollars. Back in my district, I've hosted roundtables with women, small business owners to hear directly from people building something from the ground up. They're creating jobs, driving economic growth, and showing the rest of us what is possible. I'm so proud to be their voice in Congress, and today and every day, I will continue fighting for equal pay for equal work. Thank you again. I am now pleased to introduce my good friend and a woman who is no stranger to the fight, new member liaison for the Democratic Women's Caucus, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver.
Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Congresswoman LaMonica McIver. I proudly represent New Jersey's 10th Congressional District, the first woman, first mother, first black woman to represent this district in over 34 years of service from my predecessors. Look, I am so glad to be here today to join my colleagues in the Democratic Women's Caucus in solidarity for Equal Pay Day. Like our good leader, Rosa DeLauro, said, this is not a celebration, but a reminder that we have work to do. As we recognize how far into 2026 women must work to earn what men were paid in 2025, all of us here are committed to fighting for better. We are committed to fighting for equal pay for equal work. Our job as members of Congress is to actually make life better for the people we serve, for all the people we serve, not just the wealthiest Americans. That means fighting for working women, not just on Equal Pay Day or during Women's History Month, but all the time. And especially when those in power won't fight for us. And that is what we are facing today. Under Trump, working women are under attack. Let me say that again. Under Trump, working women are under attack. The president isn't making life better. He's actively creating more obstacles for women in the workforce. When workplace protections are stripped away and safety is ignored, women pay the price each time. The consequences are real. Too many women feel them in their lives every day. But we won't be silenced and we won't be scared. None of us here today will be. We will keep fighting for better. The women standing right here before you know what working women deserve. That is why yesterday I introduced a resolution in the House, a working women's Bill of Rights that lays out plainly that what working women deserve. Equal pay, predictable scheduling, paid family and medical leave, the right to organize at work, and workplaces free from discrimination and harassment. These are the basics, and we are fighting for them today and always. With that, I thank each and every one of you for being here.
And Representative Julie Johnson.
Hello. I'm Julie Johnson, yet in a long line of another first, to the first woman to represent my district in Texas 32. You know, today, Equal Pay Day is a reminder that women still have to work harder and longer for less just to keep up. And it's not fair, it's unacceptable. Women are the glue. We hold it all together. We're the ones that have to balance increasing costs and a shrinking paycheck. We're the ones that have to tell our kids, honey, we don't have as much to eat today, or no, you can't do that extracurricular thing, we just can't make it work. We're the ones that have to show that pain of the hardships of what women are facing in the Trump administration with increasing costs and declining wages and the deck stacked against us time and time and time again. And it shouldn't be that way. And that is why it is so important that women are here, that women are at the table, because we know firsthand how hard it is to work just as hard and sitting next to a man who's doing a good job, but you're doing just as good a job, if not a better job, and not getting paid the same. We've all experienced that. And I am personally so annoyed that we're still talking about it. And why is that? That is because you, the women out there, are not demanding every single time you meet an elected official that their number one agenda be to pass the Fairness Paycheck Act, that their number one goal in Congress should be to make it equal for women to work, to make it equal for women to take care of their families. We saw just this happen with the WNBA when they stood up and said, not no, but hell no, we're not going to work unless we're paid what we deserve. And they got a record-breaking contract, showing the light to women across this country that when you stand up and fight, you will win. And that is what each one of these women are doing here in the Democratic Women's Caucus. We're fighting to make sure that you out there, if you're sitting at home and you're wondering, it's the end of the month is coming, my paycheck isn't here yet, how am I going to go to the grocery store? How am I going to fill up my car with gas because Trump's war is making everything more expensive? How am I going to make that work? If you only had that extra 13 cents per dollar, you might be able to make it work. And that's what we're fighting for, to make sure that you can look in your kids' eyes every morning, says, Mama's doing everything she can, honey. Mama's doing everything she can. And for Mama to do everything she can, we got to make the deck fair. We got to pass this bill. We got to follow in line behind Rep. DeLauro, who's leading the way. And that's what the Democratic Women's Caucus is doing every day, of every minute, of every week, of every month, of every year. We're fighting for women to have their fair day in this life. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Julie. Thank you to everybody. And, you know, it's Equal Pay Day, where we're celebrating the fight that we have been engaged on for way too many decades. But, you know, I think we need to celebrate something else today, because we need to celebrate the power of women to get things done, the power of women to make a difference in our life, the power of Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, because today is her birthday. And I would, in New Mexico, we sing Estas son las mañanitas, but you know, everybody doesn't know the words, so I'm not going to force us all to sing it, but we are so grateful to have you, to celebrate with you, to have you in the fight with us, as you have always been in the fight, leading women across this country, inspiring women across this country. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Working on your birthday.
I know, she always works. Now, the thing is, everybody knows how much Nancy Pelosi makes. Everybody knows how much we all make. Everybody knows how much our colleagues make. So why wouldn't that be fair for every working woman in America? And that's what's sad, is that we have Republican women. We all get parity. We have Republican women who have voted against these issues. And we're going to keep calling them and asking them to join us. I don't know if there are any questions. We have a few minutes. Yeah. Is it? We're going to turn over the first question to the speaker. Do you want to answer that?
I heard the statement, but what was the question?
The question is, what's our message to
Oh,
them?
message. Well,
Young
first,
women who take jobs,
Yeah.
lesser jobs,
Yeah.
instead of fighting for more.
well, thank you for that question, because it's really very important. And before I answer it, I just want to say that the outside mobilization is going to be essential to passing this legislation. So let us thank those who are advocating from outside the Congress. Anything we have passed, whether it's the Affordable Care Act, to pass it and to save it depended on outside people weighing in. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And as you said, just tell everybody. Everybody said the same thing. And I know that Congresswoman Robin Kelly has been a champion on this issue in the community as well. A. B, I want to commend our friends in labor, because in the labor movement, women are paid the same in terms of the jobs that they hold, whether it's building trades or industrials or whatever it is. So there is a path and an example for this. To your question, and this is really something that is so essential. When I talk about Rosa being the champion on so many issues, it's because it's not just about equal pay for equal work. It's the fact that employers will gauge a woman's potential in the company differently, because they think, well, she's going to have children, or she's going to be concerned about going home to take care of her babies and this or that. So childcare, affordable childcare, is an essential piece of women in the workplace succeeding. That is an essential piece, and of course, Rosa has been the champion on that, and the child tax credit. Equal pay for equal work, paid, is important. But I mean, family and medical leave paid is essential to this as well. So all of the initiatives are about, whether it's home health care, child care, equal pay. I keep saying equal pay for equal work because it just keeps coming out, but. Paid family and medical leave, all are essential to the judgment that an employer may make or a boss may make about what the future is for that woman in the company, and the judgment that he might make about the attention she is paying to her job because of all these other considerations. It's just not fair, it's just not true, but it is a fact that is a judgment that is made. So for these young women to come into the workplace, we want people to know they're there. There's a Latin saying, age courageous, do what you are doing. We want bosses to know, managers to know, hirers to know that women are doing what they're doing when they're there, because they have the comfort of knowing their child has quality child care, if it's a family member who is sick, has quality home health care, and again, if somebody is sick, she can stay home with paid family and medical leave. So these things all go together. It's oneness. It's our healthcare agenda, but again, central to that economic success for women is equal pay for equal work. And because of Lilly Ledbetter, the first step in this, we can know what the pay is. Imagine that it took a Supreme Court decision to decide that women could know what the person, somebody doing the same job that she's doing, maybe not even as well as she is, or maybe the same, but nonetheless getting paid more. So thank you for your question.
Robin?
Not answering your question, but I support everything my colleagues said. But also I want to be clear that women of color, it takes us even longer to get to the equal pay of men. And also, I'd learned this a while ago, the more educated you are, the bigger the gap. So as a black woman with a PhD, that really affects people like me.
Just one point, the point that Robin was making. The only two places where there is equity is in the Congress. Men, women are in the same job. We get the same pay. It doesn't make any difference what your background is. The same is true in the military, except for combat pay. There's a differential in combat pay. But otherwise, no matter what the industry is, no matter what the academic achievement is, there is a pay gap, and it is worse for women of color. To your point, within the Paycheck Fairness Act, and I didn't mention this, you have to require employers to prove that pay disparities exist for legitimate job-related reasons. We protect employees against retaliation for discussing wages or their salaries, remove obstacles to joining a lawsuit that challenge systemic discrimination, and we provide education and the tools for young women to be able to understand, to stand their ground, to fight for what their educational background is, and to fight for the dollars that they should receive on the job. So it helps to build confidence. Women have traditionally not fought as hard as men in these issues, but we're changing that around, and this piece of legislation addresses that education portion of it as well, to give women the better opportunity to fight for their rights in terms of their salaries.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to go over here. Just one point. We also need to increase the pay for those areas where women are going. And in New Mexico, we just passed the universal child care. Yay, we can do it. It's a policy choice. But we built into that pay ladders so we can start paying those who care for the people we love more. Same thing about increasing salaries for teachers and others. I'm going to go over here. This would be a priority, and I think what you've seen is we have done it in the past, right? This is not the first time. Yep. When we come back, we are going to pass this bill again. Is that right? We're going to pass it again, right? And this is an example of where the priorities are. Like the Democrats are going to be looking for where can we pass legislation that is going to increase the wages, increase the opportunities for women, for working women, for rural women, because it's not just a matter of how expensive gas and groceries are and how inaccessible healthcare is. There are two aspects to the issue of can we afford to live. It's both how much do things cost and how much do we get paid. And so we are going to be addressing both of those aspects when we take the House again and make Speaker Hakeem Jeffries our Speaker.
And we're going to raise the minimum wage.
Yes. There we go. Raising the minimum wage. Anything else? I think. Yeah. Does anyone else want to take it? You want to take that? No. Oh, the ERA. So I think what it is we haven't given up on the ERA, right? Women are not going to say, think about it, equality. We are equality. That is built into our Constitution, and the idea that we are going to say women cannot be equal to men and it can't be part of our Constitution. I mean, we just had an event a couple of weeks ago and we're not giving up on it, and we're going to keep pushing for it. I mean, all of us, I think, are doing events across the country to keep pushing for the ERA. I think this bill basically carries forth some of the same ideas of the ERA.
Well, it's the same. It's the same principle, but the bill itself has a set of particulars that are not spelled out in the ERA. There's okay,
Yeah.
with the ability of women to challenge in lawsuits, that and there's other areas which are not in the ERA.
It's 9:50.
Yeah, thank you so very much, and
Group photo, Madam Speaker, if you get in for a group photo with with everybody. Will you get in for the photo with our organizers here a minute? Yeah, thank you. Yes, get in.
Let's go.
You guys right here.
All right.